Hey everybody, it's Kelly here with your Friday updates. And this Friday update is going to be pretty specific. We're going to talk just about the final project. So you should now see the final project link on the side of BB Learn when you log in. I waited to put it up just because I didn't want anyone to kind of like freak out about it too soon, but we're going to dive into that today. So if you look at the final project assignment page, that has all of the info that you need that's about this project. So basically, I want to have you dive into some of the material that we've covered so far in this class, especially the different college success strategies. So this final assignment is sort of an extension of what you've already been doing. And you're going to do two things with it. You're going to create an action plan for a specific goal, and then you're going to give a presentation. And this presentation will just be given to me, and it can be done in a couple of different ways. You can present over Zoom with me. You can send your presentation to me and we can discuss it over the phone. If you want to pre-record everything, kind of like I do here, that's also a possibility. If you do pre-record, I'm still going to check in with you after watching it to see kind of how things went, ask a couple questions, things like that. So the action plan is worth 50 points and the presentation is worth 50 points. And if you do have any questions or technology is limited when it comes to that presentation component of it, please let me know. There are options to do some other things with that part of the presentation. We just got to discuss that a little bit more in depth. So one of the other things that goes into the action plan is a discussion of 3 potential barriers that you might run into. So that'll go on the bottom and we'll dive into that a little bit more, but let's just take this sort of point by point. So for your action plan, oh, I see a typo, dang it. Okay, well, I'll fix that. You're going to identify a specific goal that you wish to achieve by the end of, that should say, spring 2020 semester, summer 2020, or fall 2020, which is what it says up here. So pay attention to the stuff at the top. And you're going to create an action plan for achieving this specific academic goal. Some examples of this goal could be completing an art project on time, improving the quality of a paper, managing stress by utilizing campus resources. I do want this to align academically, or if you're graduating soon, to align with a job or an internship that you're hoping to get. Every semester I have folks who want to do a workout plan, which is a great goal, and I do think that it's something that you can definitely do for yourself. But because I want you to identify some specific college success strategies throughout this goal, that doesn't lend itself very well to a workout goal. Now, if that workout goal is part of something because of your degree, so maybe you're developing this workout plan, but you're also doing a study on it, then that's something that's totally reasonable. But I do want it to tie into academics or job hunting or job pursuits in some way, shape, or form. So throughout that action plan, you're going to include approximate deadlines. So on the action plans that y'all submitted to me for sort of that weekly assignment last week, they were pretty good. Most of them were great work. A couple of you, though, forgot to include intermediate deadlines, and you also didn't give a ton of information on those steps. So for this final action plan, it does need to be really robust, and we're going to go over an example of that I made. And when I mentioned that you want to list at least 3 specific college success strategies, those can just be kind of built in into your action plan. So we'll go over that a little bit more. And then you need to identify 3 potential barriers to achieving your goal and describe the college success strategies that you will use to overcome them. So this should be included at the bottom of the action plan, just typed up, and it needs, like, the total length for those needs to be 750 words minimum. So the formatting should follow the formatting template provided on BB Learn. If you don't want to use that exact template and you want to kind of make your own, that's okay, but it does need to be very clear. So if you're taking it that route, Send me a copy of it before you submit it fully so I can give you kind of like the yes or no. And again, your action plan should be clear and free of both grammatical and spelling errors. So I mentioned up here that your goal should be approved by your instructor, me, to ensure appropriateness. And what I mean by that is I don't want to tell anyone that like your goal is not good enough or anything like that. That's not the point. It's more that I want to make sure that whatever goal you're choosing isn't too broad where it doesn't feel like it's accomplishable, or too narrow where you can't maybe give a lot of detail on it. So it needs to be something that you could flesh out, quite a few different steps for. So the college success strategy presentation, the other half of that, you're going to select one of the success strategies that we've discussed throughout this course. So those are the broad things, like when we talk about goal setting or time management or critical reading, note-taking, any of those really broad topics. And you're going to create a presentation focusing on some of these questions, which is, how is this strategy useful to you? How have you changed or improved this strategy? And how would you talk about this strategy with others? You should be able to provide examples, handouts, information, anything that would be useful for an audience. So I'll be the only one watching this, but if you were giving this to a broader audience, like how would you make it understandable to all of them? So in the past, I've had folks like develop a little activity to do. That's a really great way to answer the question of how would you talk about the strategy with others? So incorporating some sort of activity for people to try. And I do want you to kind of find a way to change or improve this strategy. So let's say you decide to pick note-taking. Rather than just giving me a synopsis of the presentation that I already gave, really talking about how you take notes for one of your classes. Like, are there some methods that work a lot better? Did you change up how you were taking them to kind of incorporate a certain strategy that you found either in this class or online? I want you to give it your own flair, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back to our final project page. This is just where you'll submit the action plan. And then this is the formatting guide. So it has, like what you would see on all of the other action plan formatting ones, there are a lot of steps. Now, you might not use all 19, but I do want like a reasonable amount. So, a 6-step plan isn't going to be enough for this final. Like, I do want you to have, at least 12 steps. I want this to be a pretty robust action plan for yourself. So to kind of give you some guidance, here is an example that I made for if I was going to try and pass my math biology final. So I included a due date. And then for each step that I picked, I titled the step. So rather than just writing step 1, I gave it a title and I gave myself a due date. And then I said within that step what it means, right? So rather than just saying review notes, I gave review notes, which is also a college success strategy for studying. And then I put what I'm going to do while I review my notes. I'm going to determine the main points of each lecture. I'm going to highlight key terms from each day, and I'm going to write summaries for each lecture. So then revisiting the graded homework from chapters 1 to 3, I'm being specific, and I'm writing out steps for how to solve each of those problems. So you need your general step, and then you need sort of like what goes into accomplishing that. Hopefully that makes sense. Give as many sub-steps as you need. If you're realizing that one step has like 16 sub-steps, it might be a good idea to kind of break it into a few different things, just to make it a little easier to read and a little more doable. So making sure you're setting these deadlines for yourself as you go. I included like day of exam prep and then what I'm going to do after the exam. And at the bottom here, I have identifying 3 potential barriers to achieve your goal. And I just did a paragraph for each one. This explanation is slightly shorter. we did change, as like a coaching team, we changed the word requirement limit from last semester to this semester. So this is the example that I used last semester. So if you notice, it might be a little bit shorter than 750 words. So just make sure that you're checking the word count for the actual response. Okay, so the last little bit is the presentation. So this is a presentation that I put together for my class last semester, and you'll see this slide here. I had the class grade it using the rubric that I use to grade these things, and everyone determined that this would be about a B in the class. And then I asked them to give me some feedback. So like, what are things that you would improve about this presentation? So this was feedback given by students who graded the presentation. And I'll go over, I have a lecture a little bit later where we discuss like how to put together a really good presentation. So you'll see this again, and I'll actually go through it. But this has, like, I decided to, let's see, muddling through dense scientific language. So how to critically read scientific articles. So I went through all of this, answered these questions about why this works better for me, why or how I use it. And then when I had folks try it out, the activity that I did was, I gave them a paper and I had them go through sort of like how that paper works under a certain time limit. So that's just a quick example. As you can see, it's not a super long presentation. When we do this in class, it's usually between 5 to 8 minutes. So keep that in mind as you're working through that. So if you have any questions about the final project, please let me know. One of the other things that I want to talk about that I'll post a bit more information on is just some of the grades. So if you have missed some assignments or anything like that, I need you to get in contact with me as soon as possible. We'll kind of discuss these things as we do our next round of check-ins, which I'm hoping to do next week. So please look out for that email that I just sent on Thursday that says, hey, please send me times that you're available. Please do include the time zone that you're in. So I'm still in Moscow, which is in Pacific time, but I know that some folks are with their family members, and you might be in Mountain Time or Central Time or just somewhere else. So please let me know what time zone you're in so we can make sure that that check-in aligns on both of our calendars. And then because my schedule is usually the harder one to work around, it is really helpful if you follow the instructions of that email, and please send me several times that you are available throughout the week. That way I have an idea of how to fit that into your schedule. It's just a little bit easier on my end. And then I do want to give a quick note. I might give a little more background information on this on Tuesday next week. But when you are communicating with professors, it is important to have sort of professional email etiquette. So including a subject line, giving me some context as to like what the date and info stuff that you're sending me is, those are all really helpful things. Now that we're online, I'm sure you know, like everyone's getting a lot more emails because we don't have in-class discussions. So making sure that those emails are easy to find and easy to understand is really, really helpful, not just for me, but for yourself and for all of your other instructors and TAs and the services that you utilize on campus. So just a good reminder, good thing to keep in mind as you're sending emails off to folks. But with that, that's all I really had for the updates. Please let me know if you have any questions about the final project, about university stuff in general. I know that I've talked with a lot of students who have questions about advising, registration for next semester, as well as pass-fail options for different courses. So if you have questions about those things, let me know and I can get you directed to the best person to help you. Some of those things I can answer myself as well, but just want to keep you all in the loop and get you the information that you need. So with that, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and that's all I have for you. So I hope you all have a safe and relaxing weekend. Let's see. Do something fun as best you can from home. Maybe put together a puzzle. My mom sent me a bunch. I think she thinks I'm going crazy alone in my apartment, which is valid because, like, you know, I record a lot of videos and kind of ramble at the end. Perfect example. But do something fun this weekend if you can, or at least do something relaxing. Take some time for yourself. Take a breather, watch a favorite show, listen to some great music, dance around your home, wherever that may be. Do something to take a little bit of stress off of yourself. So with that, have a great time, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.